Hey guys, Thingfishy here, and today we're going to talk about how to not get hit. Now, I made a video last week about how to dodge roll, so isn't this going to be exactly the same thing? Nope, because even if you have the most perfect dodge timings imaginable, there are still mistakes that you can make in these games that will still lead to your immediate demise. So in this video, I'm going to show you what those mistakes are and give you some simple, practical tips on how to avoid them. By the way, you might notice my shiny new samurai character. I'm thinking about streaming a few Elden Ring playthroughs for some build guides I want to do for this channel. So if you fancy hanging out with me whilst watching me ignore all of my own advice and panic roll straight into that "you died" screen, give me a follow on Twitch. And you can expect some full game walkthroughs and build guides on this channel soon. Now let's get to it. So the best way of explaining my first tip is to show you some example fights using a couple of different strategies. So let's watch this footage of me fighting everyone's most favourite enemy, the Draconic Tree Sentinel. Now, if you're anything like me, this footage may remind you of how you first fought this guy, or possibly how you still do. Now watch this footage. Now this looks much better. This looks like I actually know what I'm doing. And the reason for that is in this second strategy, I'm following one of the oldest and most important pieces of Souls game wisdom. Don't be greedy. Now this is one of the most common and easiest mistakes to make when playing these games. In a boss fight, there can be this almost instinctive sense that the best play is to inflict as much damage as you can, as fast as possible, before the boss has a chance to hit you. And while it may give you some big damage early on in a fight, this strategy of going in and spamming attacks, hoping for status procs and staggers, will get you killed very quickly, as it does here, over multiple attempts. So what's the best way to avoid this? The answer is simple and genuinely might be the best possible advice I could give to anyone who's struggling on any Soulsborne boss fight. Only hit them once. Walk into the fight, hit the enemy once, then prepare to dodge their next attack. Repeat. Now, if you've never tried this before, go to whatever boss you're stuck on, or one that's given you a really hard time before, and try it. Almost instantly when you try this tactic, the fight seems so less hectic and less dangerous. And not only that, so does the enemy. The reason for this is not only are you giving yourself so much more time to see what the boss is going to do next, but you will actually see the boss's attacks so much more clearly when you're waiting for them. And because of this, you'll start building your knowledge of what their attacks are and how to successfully dodge them. When we take the path of maximum aggression and get in as many attacks as we possibly can, we often find ourselves focusing so much on attacking the boss that all we think when we see an incoming attack is, he's doing something now which means I have to stop attacking. And by the time you think this, it's usually too late to stop it from hitting you, regardless of how frantically you mash that dodge button. So if you've ever spent 20 minutes dying to the same boss over and over again with no real improvement with each subsequent attempt, it's likely because while you've seen all their attacks a dozen times, you haven't actually learned anything about them. You see every attack only as something that will stop you attacking, rather than thinking, here's his slow roll catch swing that I need to dodge left for, or Yep, this is the start of his 3-hit combo that I can simply walk back from. Every boss in every one of these games will give you certain windows and opportunities to attack. The key to defeating each boss is working out exactly where those opportunities are and what exactly you can get away with during them. Now, for certain bosses in Elden Ring, one attack is all they will ever give you room for. Watch my no-hit fight with Godfrey, first Elden Lord, for a great example of this. If you hit Godfrey more than once at pretty much any point in the fight, you're asking for trouble. Other slower enemies, like Erdtree avatars, will give you huge windows of opportunity where you can get 4, 5 or even 6 successive hits in, depending on your weapon. But the best way, in my opinion, to figure out which enemies are which and where these openings are is to assume that one hit is all you can get. If you attack once and they respond immediately, you know that is a 1-hit window. If you hit and have to stand there for a couple of seconds before they do anything, you know that that's at least a 2-hit opportunity. So you try 2 hits next time and see if you have any spare time after that. Building up your fights this way instead of trying to reverse engineer them after you've been face stomped time and time again is a much more satisfying way of playing. Don't get me wrong, you will still die a lot, but with this method I promise you will feel actual improvement in your fights after each attempt, and each death will feel like it was worth it for the knowledge that you gained from it. And that, for me anyway, is what Souls games are all about. So while this first tip will stop you getting hit as much, you are still going to get hit. And the next tip I have for you is about how to deal with getting hit when you do. For this tip, we're going to talk about healing. So particularly if you're new to Souls games, or even if you're not but still have embedded reflexes from other games, it's really easy to think about healing as something that isn't part of a fight mechanically speaking. But in Souls games, this is far from the case. And if the most common way of dying in these games is getting hit during an attack, getting hit during a heal is certainly the second most common. In most other games, healing items are activated immediately on pressing the button, with no animation or downside to your character. In Souls games, healing has an animation that takes a couple of seconds, in which you can neither dodge nor run, leaving you particularly vulnerable to attacks. Check out this footage here. I'm trying to heal up after getting hit, and on seeing me do this, this boss, like many others in Elden Ring, is specifically designed to punish me for doing this, in exactly the same way he's designed to punish me for spamming R1 all the time. As you can see here, the more I try to heal, the more I get attacked. This is just draining my healing reserves and will inevitably lead to me dying again. So the second tip I have for you is treat healing like attacking. And by this I mean, if you need to heal, rather than doing what feels right instinctively and healing as soon as your health is low, wait for the boss to give you one of those opportunities to attack we talked about earlier, but instead of attacking, use it to heal safely instead. Now sometimes this will feel absolutely terrifying when you're extremely low on health, and especially if the boss is too. The last thing that feels sensible to do is to try to dodge a few more attacks before healing, but in almost every single case this is exactly what you should do. If you're confident with your parrying, you can even create your own opportunities to heal. If you're not, you can check out my Elden Ring Boss Parry Guide series to get you started. And that's it, how to not get hit. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. As always, thanks for watching. See you soon.